It's a wild world out there, but some worlds are even wilder. Hi, my name is Tyler Hapney, and you're listening to Dungeons and Dystopias. Thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome back to yet another episode of Dungeons and Dystopias. I am your game master and host, Tyler Hapney. I have run hundreds of sessions of Cyberpunk RED and Dungeons and Dragons combined, and this podcast is a way for me to reconcile my thoughts on both of those systems. Now, I got some explaining to do. I missed last week, primarily because of work. I'm not even gonna lie. I had a lot of business, but I'm coming back this week, and instead of talking about D&D, we are instead going to continue what we would have been talking about this week, had I not missed. And we are instead going to be continuing our discussion, I should say, on the Night City 2045 sourcebook that just came out. And today we're going to be actually talking more about the factions of Night City. And let me tell you, they have added a ton of new gangs to this city. It is astounding how many we got that are new. And a lot of them aren't. Admittedly. I mean, a lot of them we've heard about before plenty of times. And in maybe smaller capacities, but still, we have heard of them. And yeah, let's kind of go through these. I think I might even have time to go through each one as long as we start now, because there are a lot of them. Oh man, I don't know if I have enough time. All right. So, we're going to start with our easy ones, the ones everyone recognizes already. 6th Street. You know the deal with 6th Street. They're veterans from the Fourth Corporate War turned vigilantes and cops for the Haywood, Santo Domingo area, though I'm pretty sure it's mostly northern Haywood. They're very militaristic. Obviously, they've got a lot of ex-veterans under their thing. They're very NUSA kind of coded. It's yeah, I mean they're very combat capable. It's 6th Street. The albino alligators are still the same booster gang that I've talked about on this podcast before. They hang out at a car wash in Rancho Coronado that has, or was, its mascot was an albino alligator. So they've gotten all these t-shirts and, or these shirts or whatever, these pop shirt collars with white alligator mascots. And that's their whole thing. The Andersons, talking about Molly Anderson and her family, they started out as a yo gang. But if you pay attention to like Black Chrome Plus, I think, and some other stuff, Molly Anderson has now become a pretty important, I'd say, fixer when it comes to being able to like run this night market. And I mean, it is a pretty decently important night market, at least when it comes to like South Night City, or I guess some of the more rougher parts of the city. Our first one is the Argentinian, led by Jimmy Miles. These guys are into smuggling, drugs, racing, extortion, and random violence. They hang out at a daycare, H-Town, and the Value Mart Village. They typically wear armor jacks with the gang logo on the back. These guys were around before the Fourth Corporate War, but after the Fourth Corporate War, they're back in a little bit, well, I mean, probably a little stronger than they are Fourth Corporate War. They like to ride around on motorcycles and obviously wear armor jack. I mean, hey, these guys' logo is pretty cool. I'm going to have to look more into the Argentinian, because if these guys are around in 2020, I might have just missed that in a source book. The Culper Ring. These guys are interesting. Their symbol represents the Illuminati, like the all-seeing eye. But it's like a kind of like a Jolly Roger with what looks to be 2 rifles behind it. I'm not too sure. These guys are into espionage. They hang out in the NorCal military base. That's where they're headquartered. And their identifiers is that logo mentioned earlier, etched on a jewelry or tattooed onto their skin. These guys are a gang within the military, basically. So this is in quotes, a secret sect of airmen, soldiers, and sailors living on the NorCal military base. They believe California declaring itself a free state was a mistake. They want to return to the good old days, one nation under God. So yeah, you get it. They're working to bring the NUSA together. Interesting people. You're definitely not gonna have enough time for everybody here. Oh wow, Deadwoods. These guys are a cowboy themed gang. It seems they're a poser gang that are also a guardian gang. And what do they guard? Well, they've got Fort Sumter, the Molly May Rail Yard, Union Railroad Station, and the Yard are their locations. They help Snake Nation, nomads, and other cargo companies move shipments. They are into extortion, gambling, sex work, and security. Uh, Very fun stuff. And they also have the Molly May Casino, which was mentioned earlier, but yes, it is in the Glen, which means that this is actually a Glen featured gang, which we don't, I think, have before, really. Dirty Hippies, these guys have been mentioned missions before, and I know I've even talked about them here, I think, at least when discussing those missions. Yeah, these guys grow weed. They grow weed. They have like rooftop gardens and they grow weed. The Dragula Racers, these guys are all about street racing, and they hang out at a place called the Obituary. Does not tell me much more about it, but I'm sure deeper on in the book, we'll learn more about what the Obituary is like. Next up is the Enhanced. These guys love promoting mega violence. Uh, it is there's a lot of question marks on their hangouts, so I'm just going to assume it's relatively unknown as to where they really hang around. And some places they might be seen are Flare, No Brainer at Gunmart and Gunmart Manufacturing, which is interesting. We actually have some Gunmart lore here. I could actually use these guys. These guys are a secretive cult, as it says exactly. The Enhanced believe cyberpsychosis represents the next phase of human evolution. Yeah. So that should just generally kind of tell you what sort of things they're trying to promote. Mega violence or making people go cyber psycho. The Euro Trashers are a party gang with a reverent love of 1980s fashion. So there you go. It's a 1980s Euro gang. They're like kind of like the Piranhas. They do partying, mugging, and random violence. I guess there you go. Fixie's couriers have been mentioned before in previous mission packs. They are couriers that operate within I believe, the combat zones in Night City. There's a whole mission dedicated to Fixie at I forget what it was actually called, but she hangs out at the Rambling Rose, which the mission itself was getting that back from some people. There's the G3. These guys are anime themed. They love anime and J-pop. These guys are a disturbingly violent poser gang. Once again, an exact quote, centered around Japanese pop culture and anime. So yeah, they have a radio station, 100.0 G3 Gun Gal, which I believe, if I remember, plays anime soundtrack, which tracks. Many of them are skirting the edge of cyberpsychosis, and they all look like anime characters. So yeah, there you go. Generation Red has been covered before. It's a yo gang. It's basically the best yo gang there is. Yes, Generation Red. Look into them, but they're Danger Gal Dossier or my episode on it. I'm pretty sure I talk about them there, or maybe I don't. Who knows? Gold Dragons. I spoke about Gold Dragons last episode, so we don't need to talk about them now. The Inquisitors. They are. Well, I mean, they're the Inquisitors. Nobody knows who their leader is. Nobody knows where they hang out, but they just hate cyberware. They believe all cyberware to be an abomination, and if they find you, they're gonna try to rip it out of your body. It generally not great. I have an Inquisitor related storyline in my campaign where they did find out where the hangout was, at least, but they still don't exactly know the leader of the Inquisitors. Well, at least they've got an idea, but there's a lot going on. The Iron Sights. The leader is a guy named Bloodguts, which we didn't actually know a lot about the Iron Sights before this, to be honest with you, because I've been using the Iron Sights a lot and I looked into them, but they they're not doing too great. in 2045, refuses to die. The iron sights have been demolished by other gangs, most notably Maelstrom, on multiple occasions over the past few decades. However, they always crawl back up from the edge of annihilation. Yeah, and they're currently sponsored by, and finally we find out, Hornet, the big pharmaceutical guy that we've talked about in Hornet's Pharmacy. These guys are an old school gang, so they dress like the old like 90s cyberpunk kind of characters. Yeah, man. I mean, if you're on the Ironside's turf, they're old school, so they'll act old school. Juilliard. These guys are the classic mime sort of protector guild. They like to protect the public performers of Night City, at least at certain locations. You need to obviously perform. If you want to perform, you're going to have their permission. But yeah, Juilliard. Interested to finally get into them because we actually did not really have a write-up on Juilliard before when it came to like the main group. I mean, they've talked about like briefly like, oh, here's some of the other groups, but now we actually have a write-up on the Juilliard and where they hang out. Kill Crashers. These guys love violence for violence's sake. They're a classic Dorfer gang made up of teens and young adults with just enough money to buy weapons and drugs. So yeah, these guys are just random violence and drugs and destroying things. The Lightning Cats, feline body sculpts. I mean, come on, guys. The Thundercats. Let's just be real. Let's just be real here, guys. It's the Thundercats. All right, Maelstrom. This is obviously everyone knows Maelstrom. It's still in 2077. Pretty much the same thing. I've described them here on this podcast before, so we're gonna go into the Mudang Gumi. We know less about the Mudang Gumi than any other gang in Night City. They are apparently a group of thieves and netrunners who love to sabotage, espionage, and do other cyber crimes. They believe that maybe they might be sponsored by Tansen, who we've talked about on this podcast before. So there you go. There's an entire Tansen storyline that you can finally get into. The Muses. These guys are based in Woodland Park. You talk about them in the last mission book, but they love their roller derby. Xanadu. Great place. The Philharmonic Vampires and the Piranhas. These are the classic gangs. Same with Primetime Players. I had an entire episode of the Primetime Players. But those three gangs are covered in the base Night City book, so going on to the Princesses of Justice. These guys hang around in Princess Land in Pacifica, and they are costuming and body sculpting based on the Princesses of Justice show. They are a protector gang and vigilante justice within Princess Land, or I guess around the area, maybe even in Pacifica. Princess Land is in the University District. I'm totally wrong. I'm thinking of I'm thinking about Playland by the Sea. My bad. But yeah, University District. You probably see these guys around. Basically a cosplay gang, which, to be honest with you, there's a lot. The Rat Kings. These guys love partying, theft, mugging, extortion, random violence. They hang out in Mega Building H4. So, yeah, they're the Mega Building H4 booster gang. There you go. I mean, that's pretty easy. The Reckoners finally got their really cool logo. I love the Reckoners logo. This is fun one. Their leader is the beloved gaping maw of the gibbering eye. Yeah, so we've talked about the Reckoners on here before, but we've definitely got a lot more lore here when it comes to the Reckoners. And, yeah, that name, man. So apparently these guys aren't very violent. I guess, well, relative lack of violence. They're generally waiting for the timing of the harvest to the gibbering eye instead of hurrying it along with explosives. All right, interesting. All right, well, there you go. If you want to know more about the Reckoners, I would suggest reading into this book. I can't dedicate too much time to this. The Red Chrome Legion, the Scavers, the Sinful Atoms, and the Steel Vaqueros. They've all been talked about on here before or in the base book, so you don't need to worry about them. I will say Red Chrome does have two new leaders. You've got Caesar, and then Vox and Populi would be the actual guys here, but they are scumbag neo-Nazis. So there you go. There's your neo-Nazi gang. The Shroomers You're never gonna guess. They hang out underground, and yeah, they're all about survival and farming. You're never gonna guess what they farm. Shrooms. The Street Queens, drag queen gang. I'm pretty sure that's what these are. I am definitely in for the Street Queens. They hang out in Flower Town, Silver, Pixel Cloud, and Woodies. I could have sworn they were in Shadow Lanes too, but I might be misremembering. It's been a bit. The Toe Cutters. These guys love smuggling, random violence, and targeted violence. They are Raff and Shiv. They randomly strike the east side of Night City, sometimes hitting targets deep into Haywood. And other times they will slice the toes off their victims. Very cool. The Tombstone Preservers. These guys are security, and they're all about hanging out in columbariums and the boneyards and graveyards and whatever of Night City. Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie, guys. This is a hitman gang. This is an Agent 47 gang. Reading it, it says members of the Tombstone Preservers are easily identified by their ball heads and somber, well-tailored suits. Each is personally trained by Mr. Reaper and is an expert in multiple martial arts and various weapons. Every Tombstone Preserver is a solo and should be respected in combat. So yeah, he's basically just a gang of hitmen. Agent 47s. The Undertow. These are 1950s greaser gang that hang out at the West Hill Church of God. And then we know about the Voodoo Boys. We're getting close, guys. We're getting real close. Wild Things. These guys hang out in Mega Building, H11, and Red Line. They are the same gang, essentially, from the 2020s. They've rebranded, but they're all about Bloodsport now. So that's why they hang out at Red Line. The Willows. The Willows is a really interesting one. This is a really deep one. Basically, imagine every single high level solo in Night City that's like a woman that's important. We've got Kissy, Roxy, Rogue Amendiaries, Jenny Jet. Like there's a lot of high level names in here, and they're all members of the Willows because they all help each other out. And then finally we're getting down to we're not even going to talk about the criminal organizations. Oh my God, there's so many. We're going to talk about the Yellow Brick Road Gang, which was mentioned in one single one-off mission, I believe that they gave as like an example. These guys are based off the Wizard of Oz, and they produce drugs at the behest of Dorothy, who is a genius drug manufacturer. They make Emerald City, which is a drug you can find out on the street. And then finally, there's the Zoners, which is mentioned in Danger Gal Dossier. But these guys hang out in South Night City, and they are dedicated to making South Night City a better place. Wow. All right. That is every new gang in the book. And not even, actually, because there's more criminal organizations. So we're going to choose one of these to talk about. And I want to talk about the Kanzaki family. These are the Yakuza, essentially, here in Night City. It says here that the Fourth Corporate War was not kind to them. Japantown got absolutely decimated by flooding and a whole bunch of other stuff. A lot of the more powerful people in Night City related to the Kanzaki family, they bit the dust because of a large nuclear blast to the middle of downtown. That would do it, typically. However, there was a rebuilding effort, specifically from the children of the last Kanzaki leader. And then we now have them kind of competing, it seems, with Tiger Claws, actually. It seems that they're not big fans of the Tiger Claws here, because they aren't really allowed to make progress in old Japantown or Kabuki. With the NCCS backing the Tiger Claws, which we've talked about, I believe, on here before. The fact that the Tiger Claws are backed by a lot of local Japanese companies within Night City. However, they do have construction and then like construction operations, and they've got their own. They do have territory with Future Build Works, Delta 7077, Imported Goods for Cheap, and Savage Docks, which I've used Savage Docks before, so this is interesting. But yes, they are now currently trying to nibble away at Tiger Claw's territory with their construction contracts. So yeah, if you want to use the Yakuza in Night City, there you go. We now officially have a Yakuza that does operate within Night City, because of all gangs I think that would be there. It does make sense for there to be that kind of presence. And I mean, we've got a lot of other things here, but most notably, And I will point this out. I don't think we have the Italian mob. The mafia never came back to Night City after 2013. Essentially is what I'm reading here. Or was it 2013? But when they got pushed out, the mob just never came back to Night City. So there you go. Some interesting lore on some of the new factions here in Night City. Wow. Next week, we're probably going to continue our series on this book. I'm not even going to lie. I'm pretty deep into it, and it really interests me. So thank you so much for listening this week. Next week, we're going to be starting to talk a little bit more about some of the sections of Night City. So that's going to be fun. We'll be starting with Little Europe, so that is going to have probably a lot of interesting little tidbits in there, especially about this new Euro gang we heard about today. I'm almost positive we're actually probably going to be discussing them at least a little bit more next episode. As for now, I'm Tyler Hapney, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of Dungeons and Dystopias.